Hey everyone, and welcome to Game Club. If you don't know me already, I'm Eli Hodap. I served as editor-in-chief for a decade at toucharcade.com, which is the largest iOS games website on the internet. Just recently hopped aboard with Game Club. Today is my first official day, doing the first official video, sending you guys the first official email. There's lots of firsts today, and I'm super excited to get started. First off, thank you so much for signing up for the early access program. When this whole thing started last Tuesday, it started with a editorial that I wrote, which was then published on gamesindustry.biz. And I really didn't know what to expect. It was one of those things where I figured I had an interesting story to tell with the history of the App Store and losing the history of the App Store and what I was going to try to do to help bring it back, which is, effectively Game Club's mission. I thought that was a cool story. I hope that they published it. Turned out they did. And then what happened next, none of us expected. If you weren't paying attention to the media cycle on like Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday last week, like basically every site that covers Apple stuff, mobile games, and anything to do with both Apple and mobile games, like also picked up the story. The response has been unbelievably overwhelming. Originally, like my hopes were like, I don't know, I hope games industry publishes it, and if we get a couple dozen testers that are interested, that would be awesome. Instead, we've had so many people sign up that I've needed to rethink the entire way this program and communication with people inside this program is going to work. So thank you so much for that vote of confidence. Thank you so much for your interest, and I promise we won't let you down. Game Club is for people like you that are interested in bringing premium experiences back to the App Store. And we're starting with Hook Champ as the first game that we're announcing that Game Club has brought back to life with an update that allows it to run on all modern devices. I've got it running on my iPhone 10 and my iPad. Plays great. We've got so many more surprises up our sleeve. It's ridiculous. The amount of games that we've got that we're working on right now is simply incredible. And I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be super stoked for all of them because they're some of the best old games, best old classics, critically acclaimed, just really, really good premium game experiences back from when that was the predominant thing you saw in the App Store because, free to play didn't exist. The ad networks didn't really exist yet. So if you wanted to make a game, you sold it for a few bucks, and there, a lot of stuff to pick from back then as far as like really good premium experiences were concerned. So if you're not familiar with Hook Champ, this game was originally launched on October 4th, 2009, which makes it almost 10 years old. It was Rocket Cat Games' very first game, which was pretty special because when they released Hook Champ, it was still sort of during the time in the early days of the App Store where people were still kind of sort of trying to figure out what to do with touchscreens. Because the iPhone had the accelerometer and the touchscreen is like the two different ways that you control games. And people were still kind of trying to figure out like, all right, how do virtual controls work? Can we do buttons? Do we need to use tilt for everything? How is this all going to work? And right around the time that Hook Champ came out, like people were just starting to get it. And Hook Champ was one of the very first games that was like, when you played it, you're like, okay, cool. Like I get it. Like you can actually have real deal game experiences on an iPhone. Like it doesn't need to be just kind of like tilt-based ball rolling games and other things like that. Like Hook Champ really elevated the bar to a whole new level of what you could come to expect for games on the App Store. So in Hook Champ, you play as a adventurer sort of character where you are hooking through these different cursed ruins. You've got a ghost that's chasing you that you need to kind of maintain your momentum as you swing to make it through the level before the ghost catches you. Along the way, you'll pick up a bunch of coins and other things like that, which you will use to unlock various upgrades, which is sort of how you progress through the game because each additional temple is more difficult than the last one, so you'll need to have the better hook, the better rope. There's a bunch of other upgrades. I don't want to spoil them for you if you haven't played it yet. And it just kind of goes from there. What makes HookChamp feel particularly noteworthy is that recently Rocket Cat Games released Death Road to Canada, which is so all their games have been really good and they've all had their audience, but it was Death Road to Canada that really felt like the breakout hit for Rocket Cat Games that like really reached sort of like a mass market audience. It was really big on Twitch. It launched on Steam, then came over to more mobile, and then launched on the Switch and Xbox and PS4. And it doesn't seem to matter where you play Death Road to Canada. People just really seem to love it. And if you've never played it, it's this sort of like randomized zombie survival game that's really good. I highly recommend checking it out. But anyway, when you're playing Rocket Cat's more modern stuff, it's filled with a lot of pixel art and really good humor and things like that. And when you go back and look at HookChamp now, you can see the beginnings of all that stuff kind of sort of forming. It's got the same sort of art style as Death Road to Canada, admittedly though a little bit more basic because it's older, and you can really see the Rocket Cat humor beginning to come out. And it's just really awesome to take this historical look back at a game like HookChamp when they've released such popular modern stuff. In a way, it feels to me like when you've got a band that you really like, it's pretty popular now, and you go on YouTube and look up little like camcorder videos that people took of like their very first concerts and stuff like that. HookChamp is the equivalent of, well, I guess it's a little bit better than a shaky camcorder video of a concert at a state fair, but still you get the point. It's really cool to go back and see the beginnings of the studio that would then go on to release Death Road to Canada. So really good game, really fun. Both HookChamp and Death Road to Canada. The hooking mechanic in HookChamp, in fact, was so good and people liked it so much that they went on to release 2 more games that uses the same basic mechanic, but just kind of like expands it out in other interesting ways. So this is a super, super solid foundation that you can really experience with HookChamp. So the reason that we're doing all this, beyond just sort of like showing the world, like, yes, we can update these super old games to get them running on your modern devices, but the real reason is to gather as much feedback as we can from our early adopter day zero Game Club fans, and that includes things as simple as like if you come across a bug in the game, please let us know. If you're playing it on, I'd really appreciate it if you could try playing it on as many devices as you can. Because we're able to test basically with the devices that we have, but there's a lot of other iOS devices out there that are capable of running this game. So if you are playing it and you come across anything that just like seems a little weird or not necessarily formatted right for the particular screen you're playing on, or anything else that you think that we would like to know to improve the game, we'd really love to hear it. The whole idea behind this is that by the time that we release HookChamp and the rest of the games that are coming in the Game Club library out to the rest of the world, that the game is totally buttoned up, ready to go, super perfect, super polished, and all anyone has to worry about is just having a good time. Additionally, if you have any other feedback surrounding Game Club, the direction that we're going in, suggestions for games that you'd like to see come up next in Game Club, or anything inside of that kind of feedback ecosystem, I also would love to hear it. We're doing this stuff for you guys. Like, this is exactly the group of super energized people that, race to give us your email to get early access to this stuff. As soon as you heard that HookChamp was coming back, we want to make sure that Game Club is something that you're super happy with and everything else. So any feedback at all is super appreciated. There's a bunch of different ways you can get that to us. Probably the easiest for a lot of people is going to be joining our Discord, which you can find at discord.gg/gameclub. Alternatively, you can send us an email about the whole early access program or any sorts of beta feedback by emailing beta@gameclub.io. Alternatively, you can just kind of tweet at us or use any of our social media. On Twitter, we're at Game Club. You can also just tweet at me directly if you want to just reach me. I'm at Hodap, which is spelled @HODAPP, which is my last name. And would just love to hear from everyone. Like, any ideas that you have I'll listen to all of them and see if we can incorporate everything into GameClub, because we want to do this stuff for you guys. Like, this is, I'm a huge believer in what we're doing, and the better that we can make GameClub, the happier everyone's going to be, and the more successful it's going to be when we globally launch. So all right. So first off, to get these games that we're going to be sending you guys, the first thing that you need to do is download the Test Flight app on the App Store. So if you don't already have it, and you haven't ever beta tested something before, just load up the App Store on your device, search for Test Flight. That's one word. And it'll be the first thing that comes up. It has a blue icon, Apple seller account. It should be exceptionally obvious what it is. Give it a download. It's really small. Then launch it, and it'll tell you things along the lines of like, oh, hey, test flights for testing games, blah, 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 blah. There's a button on the bottom that'll say continue. Hit that, and you'll get thrown into your list of apps that you have for testing purposes. And if you've never done any kind of beta testing before, this will probably be empty for you. If you have done beta testing before, you already have test flight, and you can kind of disregard everything I was already saying. So look in the email that I sent you guys, which this video is embedded in, that you're probably watching this through. Scroll down to the bottom and you'll see a test flight link. And the link is something along the lines of like testflight.apple.com/join/ a bunch of letters and numbers and stuff. So hit that on your device. You'll get thrown into the kind of like invite thing that you need to accept. And then the game, then HookChamp will be in your test flight apps list. And you can just hit install, and then it installs just like the App Store. Something to keep in mind with Test Flight is you want to make sure that it can send you notifications, because that's how you'll know that we've pushed out an update for HookChamp. And all the updates and everything else will be handled through the Test Flight app and not the actual App Store app, because this is a early version of the game. It's super simple. I'm making it sound way harder than it is by even breaking it out into that many steps. I promise no one's going to have a problem with it. And with that, thank you so much for coming on this journey with us. You people that are on board for the very ground floor and kind of like birth of GameClub, you guys mean the world to us. So anything that we can do to make you guys happier, or anything else, like, do not hesitate to reach out. We really appreciate all the support we've gotten so far and all the interest we've gotten so far. And as I mentioned at the top of the video, like, it's just been completely overwhelming, like completely unexpected, completely overwhelming. And I feel like it just really confirms that there's a ton of people out there that want to play just real deal premium experiences and revisit these old critically acclaimed classics of the App Store's past. So really, really, really looking forward to revealing more of our plan to you guys. We're hoping to hit a cadence where we're releasing one new game every week. This is our very first time launching a beta test to this many people, so we're going to kind of see how it goes. And I don't want to make any promises now, but once we're running at full steam, I want to make sure that you guys have a new game in your inbox every week to check out from us until we globally launch, and then we'll have a new game out every week for everyone to play. So with that, thank you very, 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 very much for coming on this journey with us, and we won't let you down. So I hope you enjoy HookChamp, and can't wait to hear from you. Have a good day.